Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I am pleased to be joined by Philip Ligon from JumpMaster Press. Philip, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
So, my first question for you is, so you're a writer, so how did you first get involved in just writing, whether it was as a kid or as an adult?
So writing, I'm one of those who has always wanted to be a writer for as long as I can remember. From really even before I knew how to write, I wanted to be a writer. So I like to tell the story. When I was about 6, 7 years old, I actually wrote my first novel.
Wow.
My mom still has it. She's got it tucked back in a drawer somewhere. It's a real page turner too. Now it's only one page, but it's front and back. So you have to turn the page. And I remember when I was writing it, I got to the bottom of the first page and I thought, wow, this is going to take a long time. I better wrap this up. And I turned it over and I wrapped it up by the end of the back of the page. So I got really dabbled with it a lot in high school, but really it was in college that I got a lot more serious about actually writing a book, finishing a book, getting serious about the craft. And it's continued since then. And as you can tell by the color of my hair, college years were a few years ago. So been at this for a little while.
Having the white hair is not necessarily an indicator of how old you are, because all the men in my family get white hair at about age 30. So
well, same here, but it's gone really white.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about how you got involved and met Gene and Kyle from JumpMaster Press.
So Gene and Kyle from JumpMaster, Kyle had started out years ago. He had published through, I believe, some other publishers, and we had met at conventions. It was even before I had anything out yet. And so I met Kyle, I got to know Kyle, and then my own books started coming out. I actually self-published the first couple of books that I put out. Then a publisher picked me up. That publisher closed in 2020, 2021. And at that point, I was looking for another publisher, and I had watched Kyle in particular and saw how his career was growing. He had started JumpMaster with Gene, and I'd seen their traveling bookstore at conventions and saw how they were really working hard, trying to put out good products. So I approached JumpMaster and said, hey, I've got some books that need a home. And they said, yeah, bring them over.
So we're going to start talking about some of your book series. We'll start with your Strange Engine series. What is the pitch for that series?
So the Engine series takes place in the mid-1800s. It's a steampunk fantasy. So it takes place in Victorian England, in a town where a portal's been opened into a magical realm, and so it's brought magic into that Victorian setting. And for humans, the magic is very addictive, like a drug, but it gives you superpowers. And so it follows the story of a guy who's gotten addicted to the magic. He's down and out in life. He's trying to rebuild the pieces of his life, and he really gets involved in the business of the man who controls the flow of magic into the world, who is doing a lot of interesting things combining magic and steampunk technology. And it leads into all kinds of trouble.
Oh, I saw the cover for it, and I knew it was steampunk as soon as I saw the cover for it. Did you have any book series that inspired that you when you were reading, whether it was as a kid or even as an adult, that you were like, that's what kind of led to it?
So I came to steampunk in kind of a roundabout way. My first love is fantasy. Mm-hmm. I'll tell this story too, and I had to do a book report in the 9th grade, and the teacher gave us a list of books to choose from. Mm-hmm. And I went immediately to the science fiction section, and hey, there's 2001, A Space Odyssey. I'll read that and do my book report on that.
Yeah.
And 2001's a good book, but it can be a challenging read at times. Mm-hmm. I was in the school library looking through the fantasy and science fiction section, and this book caught my eye. The cover in particular caught my eye. I pulled it out. I was looking at it. I was like, ooh, this sounds good. It was The Sword of Shannara.
Oh, I love that series.
And so I checked it out on Friday, and by the time I got to school on Monday, I had half of it read. It was like, oh, I cannot put this down. This is great stuff. And so when I went to class on Monday morning, I said, told my teacher, hey, I want to change my book report to this book. And she looked at it, she's like, oh, no, you got to stay with 2001. I don't know about that one. It's like, oh.
Man,
so,
that's such a good book.
But that launched my love of fantasy from there. It's like I couldn't get enough of it. And I've loved it ever since. But getting back to the steampunk route, I am, Monday through Friday, my paying job is, I'm an engineer. I'm a mechanical engineer. So the engine series came about because I thought, this steampunk thing is interesting because it really feeds that engineering left brain part of my head, and the fantasy and all the creative stuff feeds that right side. So it just seemed like a good combination, and that's really what got me into it.
And for a lot of authors, it's good to have some sort of thing that you did besides just writing that you have experience in. I know for authors like Timothy Zahn, he has a physics background, and that helps him. I know that Les Johnson has a space science background, and so you having the engineering makes total sense considering you write steampunk. That is the perfect fit for that. Yeah. You also wrote the Falconebone series. What can you tell us about that series?
So the Falconebone series is a steampunk. It's another steampunk series. It's a steampunk pirate adventure series. It's for ages 10 and up. It's about a family. They've been driven from their home by the king. They have fled to floating mountains where pirates used to live. And it follows the story of the son as he's trying to figure out his place in this crazy, chaotic world that he's been thrust into. And so it follows him as he's really coming of age, figuring out his place in the world, and trying to help his family, trying to help his people, and trying to survive.
And did you have any particular influences for that series, literary-wise, or anything else? So
that series actually, because it has airship pirates, is one of the focal points of the series. Robert Louis Stevenson was a big influence with Kidnapped and Treasure Island and his other stories.
Did you ever get to when Shannara gets to the airships in that series?
I have not read those yet. I have them, but I haven't read them yet. They're in my to-read pile.
Yeah, that's the Gerald Shannara series. That's if your pitch for Falconebone is anything, I'm sure that you'll enjoy that.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to ask about, have you been able to write for any like short fiction of any kind, or have you just strictly stayed with the novels?
I have written short fiction. I've actually got a stack of short stories that they may never see the light of day. I was part of an anthology about a year and a half, 2 years ago. An anthology came out. It was a JumpMaster and one of the other publishers combined some authors together, and we wrote novellas. So mine was a dark fantasy novella, which JumpMaster now publishes just as a standalone little booklet. And I do dabble in short stories from time to time, just not a whole lot other than that's out there at this point.
And do you have anything coming out in the next year or so that you're allowed to talk about? Any future projects that you have planned? So
I have the Falconebone series is an ongoing series at the moment. It will be a 6-book series. Book 5 is with JumpMaster. Book 4 just came out a couple of months back. Book 5 is with JumpMaster Press right now. Kyle is going through and editing it, so it will be out sometime in the next 6 months or so, hopefully. I'm about halfway through the first draft of the last book in that series, book 6, so I'll have that working. And I have just wrapped up, at least, and have sent out to my primary beta reader a fantasy novel that I'm really excited about.
Okay, nice. And if people wanted to follow you online, whether it's your newsletter or social media or updates, Amazon page, like where can they find you?
So you can find me online at philipligon.com. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. I do have an X account, though it's not very active. You can find me at JumpMasterPress.com. My books are available there. They're also available on Amazon.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the channel today.
Well, appreciate it. Thank you for the time.
And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.